All right, what's up, guys? It's Daniel from Just Rake. Welcome to our second episode of Stick Talk, and I am super fired up to have our second guest on. One of a good friend of mine and a guy that I've really put my swing, my trust into with handling my swing. This is Justin Gerardo out of New Jersey. What's up, Jay?
What's going
How
on?
you doing? Good.
Good, good.
What time is
It's
it over
late over here. It's late over here in the East Coast, man.
there?
You got me doing the midnight shift.
Hey man, I appreciate you coming on.
Of course,
I'm,
of
I'm really
course.
excited about having you on. If you don't mind, just kind of telling the people, just introducing yourself, your background, how you got into, teaching the swing and the specific swing that you teach. If you don't mind doing that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been coaching for since the year 2000. So it just gives you an idea of how long I've been at this. As far as my playing career, I mean, I've been playing ever since Little League. Um, I played all the way up to, some Can-Am, uh, games, and I played, some indie ball. So, um, from Little League to middle school, high school, college, indie ball. So I played at that highest level. But, while I was playing, my hitting coach at the time hired me, to do lessons. So, I was playing, I was doing lessons, I was coaching, so while I was doing that, I really got into it with, researching the swing. So I did it all though. So I had teams also. So, I was coaching, as a whole, but, come to find out that the people kept coming to me for hitting. So, but as far as, what I've been researching, what I've been doing, I mean, uh, what I've realized when I was playing, I reached a certain point in my career where I was pretty much getting dominated. And I knew that whatever I was teaching and whatever I was doing, because since I was also coaching and also playing, there's something missing. There was always something missing. And, I was, for 15 years, researching and trying to, figure things out. And I thought I had a pretty good stranglehold 15 years in. And I knew there was something missing because, when I played, I really, you know, I really was getting dominated with some off-speed pitches. I really couldn't see, recognize pitches, and I felt like I didn't have any time. So, time in the box. So, um, I always looked at my swing. I looked at tons of video, and uh, then when I started my business, and when I started my business, I had a guest come to my facility, and he came in and he asked to hit. He had a lesson in my facility when I opened it up, and I just opened up this business. And sure enough, it was Aaron Judge's hitting coach. So he's like, "Yeah, I'm in town. I'm doing a lesson here, but I'm in town because I'm going to see Aaron." And I'm like, "Well, okay. I would like to know what Aaron Judge is doing." So, uh, long story short, we hit for 4 hours that day. And, it was very intriguing to me when he was explaining it. And within 2 hours of hitting, I felt something that I'd never felt before. And it was crazy because, I have a unique story because, I was coaching while playing, and then I was in the game for 15 years of coaching it and instructing it, meaning I thought I had it pretty much, a stranglehold on what to teach. And sure enough, I mean, I was pretty much off the mark, because once I started seeing video and I started seeing my swings, I immediately saw the difference. So to this day, I have these clinics that I'm traveling the country. I tell everyone that my swing today is way better than I was when I was playing at the highest level in the best shape of my life. So, something really hit there. And after that, we started to keep in contact. And, I'm pretty much, like I said, traveling the country doing clinics. I'm training more higher level players, like yourself and other players. And, you know, I, I feel like this is the way. This is pretty much the best way to do it. I feel great swinging the bat,
Mhm.
and I'm done playing, but I feel great swinging the bat. And um, if I can feel it, then it's easier for me to teach it and easier for me to project it to players. So
Yeah.
now I'm like 20 plus years into this, and I'm into coaching and instructing. But I'm since 2017, I've pretty much been implementing this in terms of the HOP into all the hitters that I've been seeing, and the results speak for themselves. I
Yeah,
feel like,
absolutely.
so I feel like I'm still evolving as well. I'm still learning. I'm still researching. I'm still doing basically the same things I've been doing 20 years ago, but now at a much higher level. I feel like, I also went to school. I went to college and I got a bachelor's degree in teaching. So while I was going to school, I was learning, getting a degree in teaching so that I can now use that for coaching and also for instructing. So it's a pretty good it's the best of both worlds in terms of my playing career and what I went to school for, and now with all the years and the experience and now the knowledge, I feel like it's come full circle. So you know, in addition to starting a business, I mean, I was always working for somebody, and now I took the plunge and started a business 5 years ago, and it's just blown up. So
Yeah.
I started the business 2016. I met Rich, Richard Skank, which is Aaron Judge's hitting coach. I met him 2017. Boom, just skyrocketed after that. So
Yeah. No, it's like you and I, that's actually how we met was when you were traveling across the country and you landed in the Bay Area and
mm,
um it's kind of funny because like I kind of felt the same thing you were feeling when COVID hit. I went and saw a different hitting guy.
mm,
And we did clean up a lot of stuff, but it was, obviously like when you clean something up, like you feel real good. And I went and played in one of the, during COVID, one of the independent, COVID leagues. So it was like, it was a pod. It wasn't that many games
mm,
or whatever, but I took that swing in the first couple of games, had, some pretty good success. And then, towards the end of I still hit well, but I was like,
mm,
man, I'm getting beat on these pitches. Or like, man, I'm just missing
mm,
those pitches. Like I should
mm,
be, I knew that I could be hammering those pitches. I'm like, man.
mm,
And then I go look at my swing and I'm like, yo, like I'm diving.
mm.
Like, I'm getting
Right.
like out front and I'm just swooping my hands. But like,
Yeah.
here I am sending these videos to like other guys that I grew up with and trust, and they're like, dude, your swing looks great. What are you talking about? I'm like, no, like,
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys are seeing, but I'm not seeing it.
Yeah.
And it was always like, no, dude, you're too hard on yourself, whatever. I'm like, I may be too hard on myself. That's fine. But like, I know I'm looking at something that's not it. And
Mm,
I went and I booked a flight. I canceled, I stopped we had like a week left. I was like, no, I'm done. Like, I'm
mm,
stop it. I have good numbers. It's
mm.
COVID. I don't really care. I
Yeah.
booked a flight to St. Louis, got in touch with Rich, hit with him, and same
Mm,
thing you felt. You're like, whoa, like I never
yeah.
felt that before. Came back home. I was going to one of my buddy's facilities down in Morgan Hill,
Mm,
California. Him and I were going back and forth on the
mm,
swing. Lauren Atlas was there. Shout out to her.
mm,
And, she was like, oh, like, do you know Rich? I'm like, yeah, do you know Rich? She's like, yeah. And I was like, oh,
mm.
cool. Like, I'm hitting with you.
Yeah.
And then we were hitting, we started making some progress, and she's like, yo, one of my good, friends from New Jersey's coming out to do a clinic. Like, I really think you should go see him. I'm like,
Mm,
okay. Saw it was you, Justin
yeah.
Gerardo out in Tracy, and I was like, all
Uh,
right, cool. Like, I was all in. Like, I'm gonna, it was
yeah.
2020. Like, I need to get my swing right. I have plenty of time to do it.
Yeah.
Met up with you, and I think we hit for 2 hours actually. I booked a 2 hour session with you, I think.
Yeah. It was one session for 2 hours.
Yeah, and you put me through the grinder. Like I
Yeah, I
thought I
did.
had it somewhat figured out, and you put me through the
Mm,
grinder, and then at the end, I was like, holy crap! Like
yeah.
here you go. Here's my swing. I'm giving my trust to you, and yeah, and I think that I think with when you feel something like that, you don't ever want to let it go again. especially when
Mm.
you've been through like years of playing and you struggled and you try to get back on your feet, you try to swing it again,
Mm.
you feel good, and you're like, how do I repeat it? You don't know.
Mm.
Once you figure that out, it's like, okay, like we're not deviating from this anymore. And
Yeah.
I was gonna this is what I wanted to ask you too. With that, like I know what I felt, and I felt like I had way more time. I felt way
Mm.
quicker, and I felt like I was getting my body behind the swing, and I was able to
Mm.
handle better pitching in
Right.
parts of the zone that are normally like tough to handle.
Mm.
And what is it about the HLP swing that like really gets guys and girls, because I see a lot of the softball players you work with too.
Mm.
Like what gets it for them to figure it out? Like what about the HLP swing is pretty much cutting edge compared to like some other guys? Because I see a lot of times guys, they kind of go about the same thing, but they word it
Mm.
differently to make it sound better, but it's
Yeah.
still the same thing. And
Right.
what is like for the people that don't know, like, because they probably see drills and like, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, it looks wrong. Like, what were you doing? But like, what is it about?
E- Everything about it revolves around quickness.
Mm-hmm.
Everything about it revolves around how fast you get your bat going upon decision. So, um, there's a lot of quirky drills. There's a lot of unconventional drills. From the outside looking in, it looks kind of weird. Uh, but like in any drill, you're trying to accomplish a certain feel. But when when you look at the concept and you look at the overall uh, piece of the HLP and everything else like that, it's how fast you get the bat going. It's not so much bat speed. It's not the metric of bat speed. It's just how fast you get it going from the start. When you decide to swing, the swing basically starts when the barrel starts to turn around your forearm.
Mm-hmm.
So you do a lot of that. You do a lot of getting the players to understand how to actually turn it. Because yes, there's other coaches and other instructors, the training barrel turn and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but when you don't have the right intent of getting it up to speed quick and getting the players to understand that they have to be as fast as they possibly can when they decide to swing, then you're a little bit off the mark.
Mm-hmm.
So why is that an advantage, and why is that, one of the things that really got me intrigued is because it ultimately gives you more time in the box.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that resonates with me, because I felt when I got to the highest level, I had no time. I felt like the game was too fast. I felt like these guys that are throwing mid to upper 90s in indie ball where I was playing, uh, I had to rush to hit it. And then when I tried to time that up, I couldn't really hit sliders.
Mm-hmm.
Changeups for sure were like my kryptonite. So I couldn't really recognize those sliders, those changeups. And it was the end of my playing career. So, um, once I understood that and I felt that, I wish I could go back in time, because I can probably take that into my game right now and really have a good grasp of understanding, like, hey, I have all this time. I have to trust it. I don't really have to go get it.
Mm-hmm.
And once players feel that, it's pretty magical, because it elevates their game to another level. I mean, they just feel more confident in there. They know they can hit anybody um, from all ages. I mean, I trained some 8-year-olds, some 7-year-olds that really they can just turn the bat naturally, and it's just a matter of just telling them, do that, whatever you're doing that great. Just do that as fast as you possibly can,
Yeah.
and then they're one of the best hitters on their team. And then obviously when you go up a level and you're training pros and guys like you, it's just a matter of fine tuning it and getting you guys to really see it on video and then feel it physically. And then once you guys feel that, you're going to feel like you have all the time in the world in the box. So,
Yeah. It's pretty wild
like,
because like I'll look at a little kid swing a bat and you're like, oh my God, like he is absolutely turning the barrel and he's absolutely torquing his body through
yeah,
through the ball. And like he doesn't
yeah,
even know what he's doing, but I feel like little guys that have such a natural, I don't know what it is, but like I feel like with young hitters, like a lot of coaches, they think like they gotta break a kid down and then they teach them like, hey,
Mm,
your swing has to go in like 5 different steps, and these kids like
mm,
lose that athleticism feeling,
yeah.
lose the feeling of leveraging the bat, and then they go to like
Mm,
just super handsy and stuff, and it's like,
yeah.
man, and
It's
it's so
just, it's
pure to
all,
watch a little guy hit.
just too much information.
Yeah,
You get the younger guys to think too much and, they'll slow their swings down. So
yeah,
they get out coached, of their
for
natural
sure.
abilities. And I'll be honest, you see some of that in the higher levels as well.
Oh, absolutely.
You see some of the players that are pretty successful move on and they move up, and then all of a sudden they start struggling. Um, they get out coached they get out coached of their natural swing that
Yeah,
got them there. So, um, it's just a matter of really, getting the players to really understand what they're doing. If they're doing it naturally well, tell them, hey, you're doing this naturally well, and
for
get
sure.
them trying to repeat that, you know?
Yeah, I will say like when I kind of went all in on, because I was at a point where I was like, okay, like I need to make an adjustment or like I'm not gonna be playing for very long. When I did that, it felt like I felt like I was 7 years old again. I felt like I was swinging like I was 7 years old again, where I was just like letting the barrel go and
Yeah,
just hitting it and letting the ball just run into my barrel. Like
yeah,
obviously,
yeah.
like to put that in context, like I'm not
Mm,
swinging like a 7 year old, but like the
mm,
feel of getting just letting your barrel, just letting everything go, and it feels
yeah,
effortless.
yeah.
And with that, we see guys at higher levels, guys high school, college, pro, whatever, and there's a lot of information out there, especially coaches and stuff. I think there's a lot of great coaches out there, but like you said, there's just too much information for them to out coach, and
Mm,
they'll take a kid and they drain it, like they drill it into their head, like, hey, this is how you have to swing, this is how you have to swing. And then
mm,
so like, they might come to you or might see your stuff on Instagram or Twitter
mm,
or any HLP concept, um, and be like, what? Like, how do I do that? Like, should
mm,
I be doing that? This is like, I have to
mm,
completely rewire my
mm,
whole swing. Like, so when you get a guy, when you've grown your business, after hitting with Rich and kind of was like, yo, this is
mm.
how I want to teach the kids to swing like this. How was
Yeah.
that process like building reputations with hitters? Because I'm sure there's had to been, some blocks, some players that are like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. There's some conflict, but like, I feel like it allows for more growth. But how was that process like for you? Trying to build a reputation with hitters and building like credibility over your clients over the years. It's like for them to gain
Um,
trust.
to gain interest.
Yeah, gain interest and then
So,
ultimately gain trust.
majority of the players are bought in.
Hmm.
So, ultimately, it has to make sense to the hitter.
Hmm.
So if it doesn't make sense, it's really hard for them to grasp it, because it just will feel too uncomfortable for them, and um, they'll just keep doing the things that they feel comfortable.
Hmm.
So, um, but I'll be honest with you, with the players that come in, it's video, so it's right there in front of you.
Hmm.
So you have to combine that, what you see in the video, and then you put them side by side. You put players side by side and compare, and then they have to see it. Once they see it, then you put them through the grinder. You put them through some of the drill work. Then they can understand it, and then they can feel it.
Hmm.
As soon as they feel it, like it took me 2 hours, right? Some players it doesn't take 2 hours. Some players it takes a while, but as soon as they have that one feel where it's like, wow, I understand what you're talking about, then they're even more bought in if they're not already.
Hmm.
So to build that reputation with them and to try to keep the players coming. I mean, um, it's constant video. I tell every single one of my players when they leave this cage, send me video.
Hmm.
So if you're swinging on your own, send me video. If you got a BP session in, prop up a tripod and try to send video, keep you on track.
Yeah.
Because what I tell everybody is this: it's easy to to get it and to feel it. Although I just told you it sometimes takes longer, but I'll tell you what, it's way harder to maintain it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so as soon as you find that feel, you're constantly chasing the feel. You know, so
Yeah.
to have the players, number one, to have them players, you know, to make sense to them, and then number two, to get them to feel it. You know, that's my constant, you know, not struggle, but my goal is always to, once I find or I meet new players for the first time, it's within that limited time I have with them, whether it be an hour, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, how can I get them to feel what I need them to feel, so that they can keep chasing that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, so that's right now, like I have a pretty good stranglehold of how to teach it. But right now I'm really trying to understand how I can take that information and try to condense it where within that hour or two, get these players to feel it. Cause, you know, it's tough, you know, because
Yeah.
like you said, they've been swinging for however long, and then they want to come in and try to work on their swing, but they're scared, or they have the fear of reprogramming what they already do,
Mm-hmm.
especially like if their season's coming up. Um, it, it's tough. So, also, like when I do this, I'm not trying to reprogram anybody's swing.
Mm-hmm.
I am trying to get them to feel faster within their own style.
Mm-hmm.
So you build that because there's certain absolutes to it, and you build it within their own style.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm starting to realize. I'm not trying to like get everybody. It's not a cookie cutting thing. You know, you're trying to build that certain feel, because there are absolutes in the swing where you want to try to get them to feel as fast as possible, but you build it within their own style. Whether it's like, hey, they're a faster mover, slower mover. They like their leg kick. They like their stride to no stride. They like not striding at all, toe tapping, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
You want to build that feel within what they're doing
Yeah.
naturally, you
For
know?
sure. Yeah. I was like, and sometimes in other players that I'm, training with, or other people that I'm around here in the off season, some of them, if they may not understand it as well, they'll be like, man, I just feel like it's, just one swing for all. And I'm like, it's really
Mm,
not. Like, if you hear it from
yeah.
the horse's mouth, I've heard it from you, I've heard it from, Lauren, I've heard it from Rich.
Mm,
Like, you guys are not in the game to try to like cookie cut anybody. And
mm,
I always think of it like, it's like a car, right? Like some guys have the Ferrari engine, some guys have the
mm,
Lexus engine, some guys have a Ford truck engine, like there's all these
yeah.
different motors, and
Mm,
all you're doing is just trying to crank mechanically, tweak it a little bit so it goes a little faster and it goes a little more
yeah.
efficient. And then the players can
Yeah.
add their spoilers, add their rims, add whatever, whether
Yeah.
it's, a little hand wheel, whatever,
Yeah.
it's their own style, but at the end of the day, the
Mm,
car goes A to B. It's just how efficient does it go there, but it's still the same,
mm.
same thing.
There isn't just one way, but there is a best way,
Yes. Like,
you
yeah,
know?
for sure.
So there's certain things that these elite hitters do, um, that there's, like I said, there's absolutes to what some of the best do. There's a reason why Mike Trout and Juan Soto, and Barry Bonds, they look like they have so much more time than some other hitters in the league.
Hmm.
Some other little hitters in the league, they look a little rushed. They don't look like they're as quick. I mean, I mean, they got there, right? Because of, they can hit the ball, but there's different levels to it. You know,
Hmm.
there's good major leaguers, there's great major leaguers, and there's the best major leaguers. So
For sure.
you want to, try to really grasp what these best major leaguers are doing. Look at the MVPs, look at what Harper and Otani and Trout, what they're doing, and try to really break it down and really try to match what they're doing.
Yeah.
Not so much what they're saying, but it's what they're doing in their games and how their swings match up with some of
Yeah.
the greats.
For sure. Yeah. No, I was in, when you talk about feel and, when someone leaves you, right, they leave under your eyes, right? It's very easy to be like, hey, we're hitting for an hour. Like, you're constantly like watching every little thing and tweaking and know how to do it to get us to swing, better, make a big
Mm,
change, make a small change, whatever. And it is like, it is hard to maintain that when you don't have those eyes on you, especially when you're learning something new. I remember talking to Rich, the very first time that I hit with him, and he was like, yeah, like Aaron would fly me out, flies me out like 10 times, a year, to just meet him in whatever town they're in. And for him, he's like, yo, he has the swing. He just lost the feel of it in his mind, but he's doing the same stuff. He just needs that, a little bit of a pick me up. And, one of the cool things when Matt Feinstein and I were out in Idaho Falls, it was cool because we held each other accountable. We were in the box, if I was in the box, he was in the box, we would say little cues to each other to, we can hear subtly, boom, whack, whack, whatever, or come back in and go, man, I missed it, or I didn't feel that right, but hey, we got this next at bat. One of the cool things was you actually flew out to us. We set it up. So you flew out to us to do a camp out there for, the Bandits out in Idaho Falls, and we got to hit with you for like 4 days, I think. And that was huge because, you're the guy that we spent a lot of time with. How important is it to have, cause Maddie and I would do different drills, right? I needed to feel something different versus him. And how important is it, even if like you may not have the feel every day, day to day, how important it is to stick to the drills that you're doing, that you're committing to doing? Because sometimes it's easy to just burn the boats and like go back to the old way. How important it is to just keep repping it in early work and stuff like that.
There's not enough reps you can do. So, it's a constant grind. It's a long-term process. So, like I said, it's easy to get it, but it's even harder to maintain it. So, you want to try to, master the skill. In order for you to master a skill, it takes a ton of reps. So I use a Bruce Lee quote from time to time, but his quote is like he fears the man who practices one kick 10,000 times, not the man who practices 10,000 kicks one time. So it's just, it resonates with me only because like it's the constant practice, the productive practice of, what you have to do. It's tedious, it's repetitive, but it's essential. And to have teammates like that are on the same page is icing on the cake, man, because you have another set of eyes that are also, watching you, but also you're helping yourself because you're also teaching yourself by looking at other players that are trying to do the same thing. So, and then obviously, you're a catcher. You can see the swings, you're behind the dish and you can see swings. You can see on deck swings. I mean, you just know like, hey, we know how to pitch this guy, so it's teaching you the different swings and different tendencies of hitters. So, and that all, it comes from the practice that you do and the constant grind of just chasing that feel.
Yeah, it's cool because like, being just so much more attentive to my swing now. Like I'm so accountable on it every day. I have, one of my good buddies, Phil Caulfield, him and I have been training all off season, and he's been all in on that too, all in on just finding better ways to turn his barrel, stay behind the baseball and whatnot. And, diving into a lot of the content that, you, Rich, and a lot of other, really good hitting guys are putting out. And, I will say, like, being a catcher, it's so easy now for me to see a guy and like, whether it's on deck or him take a pitch and like, okay, we're going away here. Like he's diving on his front foot. He's not like, he doesn't have that take where you're like, oh, okay, like he's got way more time than we think he does. But it's true. I mean, it's pretty incredible, man. Like to be able to take accountability of your own swing, see the different results that are out there. It's almost like, you're opening a new book to like, you're seeing stuff you never saw before, reading things you never read before. And, I mean, it's pretty incredible. I mean, I will say it's definitely something that I think more, and I talk to this to my kids, the kids that I coach in the off season. It's like, hey, you need to take accountability of your swing. Like we
Mm,
got to understand, coaches, like we can tell you and advise you, but like at the end of the day, as a player, you have to take accountability of your swing. And
yeah.
I mean, just from your observation as a hitting coach, like how important is it for guys, whether it's guys that are kind of, I don't know what I'm doing, or I don't know
Mm,
if I should do this. Like how important it is to be like, hey, like you need to take accountability of your own swing and not let your coach, your like little league coach, high school coach, whatever, like dictate to you what you're supposed to feel and how you're supposed to hit.
it, listen, it's your career, right?
Yeah.
So, when you're working, you have to really know what you're doing.
Hmm.
So when you know what you're doing, you're your own hitting coach. I tell every single one of my players, my job is to teach you how to teach yourself.
Hmm.
You're your own hitting coach. And I also tell them, listen, you're here, yeah, and I'm glad you're here, and I'm happy to train you. But ultimately, I want to stop training you. I want you to now teach yourself, so you don't have to come back.
Hmm.
Maybe here and there you can reach out and say, hey, how's our swing look? And it's just, a reinforcement or fine tuning thing. But other than that, you should know your swing better than anyone else.
Yeah.
So I think the best in the world, whether they, however they train, they might train a little differently, but it's what works for them, and all the best players in the world, they have something that they do knowing that, okay, this is what I feel.
Yeah.
So, and then they work on it, So some players are just naturally gifted where they think they're doing something, but they don't know what they actually are doing because
Hmm.
they don't really, it doesn't really match up to what they think they're doing if they watch it. So, but yeah, it's super, super important. Hitters should be their own hitting coaches. And like I said before, if you have another set of eyes on you that you're doing the same thing, I mean, it's icing on the cake.
Yeah, for sure. There's one thing that I think really strikes me is that, you have hitters that are naturally going to hit. You
Mm-hmm.
could put, you could take their leg off and they'll still hit.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter what speed. When hitters when they've had so many years of, being a good hitter, swinging a particular way, like you may look at their swing and be like, yo, he's actually doing some stuff. He's doing some stuff right. There could be a little tweak.
Mm-hmm.
When they leave you and kind of go back to their own setting and doing what they're doing, they might send you video and you might be like, hey, like little tweak here, a little tweak there.
Mm-hmm.
How important is it though for as a hitter, like if he wants to be the best he can be, to still understand like, yo, like if you can hit, like you're still gonna hit, but like even just the attempt to make a little bit of a swing change to try to buy yourself some more time, learn how to be quicker.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be like identical to Manny, Barry, like some of the greatest of the greats, but like how important is it for them to know like, hey, like just taking this step to try to better yourself, you're still gonna like you're making leaps and bounds way more
Mm-hmm.
than maybe a guy who's like, no, I'm not. I'm against all that.
Yeah. Ultimately, you're an athlete. I'm an athlete. I mean,
Yeah,
ultimately, you want to be the best. You want to be the best you can be.
absolutely.
Never settle. Never settle. The best in the world. I mean, they'll have an open mind,
Hmm.
and they'll listen. They'll listen. But ultimately, you want to try to be the best you can be. I was in the game 15 years, 16 years of coaching and instructing, right? And then all of a sudden, I was introduced to something different that I had no idea about.
Hmm.
Um, I was open minded to the fact that let me listen, let me hear him out, let me swing the bat, and that's ultimately what really changed my business. Because as soon as I felt that, I didn't really change. I didn't really just turn it over right away because I was hesitant to the fact that I didn't know everything, so I didn't really want to just dive right in. I wanted to learn more.
Hmm.
So in the interim of me coaching and doing what I know, I was transitioning into understanding it more. So that goes for any athlete. I mean, that's, for me, that's the coach and the instructor in me, but also it should go with the player as well. Like you don't want to be content. You don't want to settle. want to be a little more open-minded. You want to try to find different ways to elevate your game and try to be the best you can be.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that's so important for young guys, guys at the pro level, college, high school, little, younger travel ball to understand that. And, you know, I think the game is making a shift. I don't know what your thoughts on that are, but I
Mm,
think you're starting to see more guys at the highest levels. And I know who, like, I'm not gonna say any
mm,
names, but you know who I know
mm.
too. Like, I know those guys are starting to kind of, hey Jay,
Yeah.
like, what's this all about? Like, even though I've been in the highest level for quite a few years and hit well, like, what's this all about? Like, let me hit with you.
Mm, mm.
Where do you see the game now kind of evolving with the swing? Because there's a crap ton of content out there, and there's guys that are producing
Right.
some good results like yourself, and you're getting some of the
Right.
highest guys to reach out.
I mean, the way I see it,
Hmm.
uh, as far as how the game is evolving, I think there's a major shift in metrics.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of focus on the metrics, and metrics meaning like your exit velo, your launch angle, um, your heat maps too, like all that stuff. I mean that's that's I think where the game is at right now, and I think a lot of the development is leaning more towards that as opposed to swing mechanics. So it's more of hitting. It's listen, you're not hitting the ball this certain launch angle at this certain speed. We need to get you there. Your heat map shows that you're struggling low and away. So let's try to work on low and away. You know, um, to me, if I was a player and I had a heat map and it said, hey, up and in is you're hot, but you're really, really, cold low and away. Let's work on low and away. I'm going to design a swing for low and away, right? So now what happens is when I see that up and in, I have to now align myself to up and in now. So to me, I feel like you need to, as far as swing mechanics goes, train for one explosive move for every pitch as opposed to let's try to work on one location. Let's work on another location. So, as you know, as far as the evolution of the game and where is it going as far as swing mechanics, I can't really say because I'm not in there, right? But I do know that it's a lot more leaning more towards the metric side. I think looks like they're hiring more guys that are in the metric side, and they want more of that science behind that, where let's work on the numbers and let's work on the biomechanics of it. And we're going back to what we talked about before, where it might be too much information for some players, and it might just get them to think a little bit about it too much, as opposed to getting back to just simplifying it and being as quick as you can be and putting barrel to ball.
Yeah.
Um, because the game for 100 years didn't have metrics, so some of the legends, if you put them and you strap them up, sensors and whatever, they might have below average numbers,
Hmm.
but they can hit. They can hit in the game,
Yeah.
so, um, so I just don't want it to be like, hey, your metrics don't match up, but your numbers in games are like video game numbers, but you're not looking at those numbers. You're looking at the metrics.
Yeah.
Um, to me, I feel like if players have a swing that's sustainable and that can put up numbers in game, I feel like the results of those games, of the whatever metrics you have in those games with that sustainable swing, that's what really matters. So I think that's where we need to be, and that's why I feel like a lot more. I'm getting a lot more messages from players and from the higher levels, and I feel like they're searching
Yeah.
because I think in the higher levels, um, they're they're not really working on their swing, so I feel like they're searching. I think it's all. I think this lockout as well. this lockout is really opening it up,
Mhm.
where players are now more on social media. They're not with their teams and stuff like that. So they're doing their own stuff. And I feel like they're in search for how to elevate their game because, when they start going to the teams, it's, hey, let's go in front of a machine. There's no tee work. There's no front toss. There's like, hey, here's a machine. It's pumping. Hit the ball. And I feel like it really, it gets hitters into bad habits, and with them not knowing they get into bad habits. So although it's hitting, you got to hit the ball and try to, set yourself up and self-organize and do whatever you got to do to hit the ball. But I feel like if it's that chaotic, your swinging is not going to be sustainable.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um,
It's wild because like when like Maddie and I would do early work, hitting or we'd go to the cage and all we had to do was pretty much just like soft toss, maybe a little tee work, whatever. But like it was more
mm,
just working on the feel. Like,
mm,
I mean, Maddie said this to me because Maddie had been working youth forever, and I was kind of like
mm,
I was all in on it, but still learning, not as not as many kicks like the Bruce Lee quote. I wasn't gonna put many kicks in, right? I was still like I was on my first couple like a
yeah,
thousand, not, and Matt was probably on like a couple more thousand. And
yeah,
one of the things was his like we were taking a one series, and the first game of the series, and I was soft tossing him, and he was just going through his fields, and he was like rolling everything over, just cutting
mm,
balls and everything. I'm like, I'm not gonna say anything to him, but I was like, yo, you good? And he's like, I feel
mm.
awesome. I'm like, all right. I'm like, okay, like, hey, dude, like, you're having a great season,
Yeah,
like, okay. That
yeah,
game hit a couple bombs. I was like, weird, but like some guys would go in and they're looking like, oh, I rolled everything over. Oh man, I don't feel good today. Matt was
yeah,
like, I know the feel that I want. I don't give a
yeah,
crap about the result in the cage.
yeah,
In the
yeah,
game, it's how it's going to go. And I feel like a lot
mm,
of kids, they go into the cage, whether it's they're setting up with the hit tracks, whatever,
mm,
or just in regular cage work, and they're so anal about, oh my gosh, I didn't hit that ball exactly what I wanted,
mm,
so I'm gonna like adjust,
mm,
or how do I say it, like, um, compensate my swing to try to
mm,
get that one little result. And
mm,
I had a good conversation with a friend of mine. He was, saying, hey, like, there's guys that are in the big leagues right now that have not really that great
mm,
blast numbers, in cage hit tracks numbers, but in the game
mm,
they rake. And there's
yeah,
guys that come in and they have absolutely insane 103,
mm,
104 every off the tee,
mm,
off the machine, but
mm,
then in the game they suck. And I've
mm,
seen that too now more than ever. I think just with how metrics are, it's like you see kids and they have video game numbers. Like for me, I don't have great metric numbers. I
mm,
don't. Like my bat
yeah,
speed isn't top notch. My exit velo isn't top notch in a cage. I guarantee you it's pretty damn good in a game based off the
mm,
results. But I see a lot of kids like they get super hyped because they hit 120 or 115 off the bat, and you look at their swing, and you're like,
mm,
dude, like you're getting two legged and you're pushing. Like you're trying to
yeah,
wind
yeah,
up like your whole arms to hit the ball, and it's like,
yeah,
what are guys missing? Like, or do they not like how do you not see that?
yeah.
Um,
I mean, what I always say is, what's the exit velo of a swing and miss? So,
yeah.
so like, you're hitting off a tee and, you're getting good numbers, and that just shows potential, right? That shows like, hey, you got some power, you can barrel a ball up,
Mhm.
but let's see a swing that's sustainable in the game.
Yeah.
Let me see a swing that's playable in the game. So, because when you're hitting off of BP, when you're hitting off of a machine, when you're hitting off a tee, um, it's predictable. So when you're hitting off of something that's predictable, you can gear up, you can time it perfectly every single time and hit well. But when you're in a game, it's unpredictable. So those swings might not play,
Yeah.
so you swing out of your shoes, then a changeup comes, you might not be able to recognize it or adjust. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah. So, I mean, it's tough. I mean, I've had, a ton of players. They're right now, like some scouts are wanting their numbers, their metrics, but they don't even look at their game stats, which is like pretty
Yeah.
insane to me.
Yeah. No, it's wild. I mean, I think it's, I mean, I'm not necessarily against data. Like, I think there's a place for it. I think it's like it
Oh, I'm not against it
tells,
either.
yeah,
Trust me.
yeah, I know you're not either. I think like
Yeah.
it does a good job like telling the story. Like, hey, like this is
Yeah.
the end, like this is what he's doing, but like it doesn't tell you like the process and like what the hitter himself is feeling that day or like
Hmm.
feeling that series or whatever. Like, cause
Right.
for me, I'm more of like a feel guy. Like if I feel good and I use my feel and I compare it to video a lot cause I could, you know,
Hmm.
cause I still have some,
That's the
I
way
still
to
might get a
go.
little pushy with my hands, but so I got to stay on top of it. But for me, like I've learned to be more
Hmm.
feel oriented versus like, oh, I hit 103 or I hit 102, whatever, a couple times. Like, oh my
Hmm.
gosh, I'm feeling really good. It's like, no, like I could care less. Like I don't even like I just want to feel good,
Yeah.
make sure my swing's
Yeah.
dialed in, and then I'll take. It gives me confidence to walk onto the plate, into the
Yeah.
plate, and be like, all right, let's go. I don't care if you're throwing 95 or 85. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And
It's just a result. It's just a
yeah,
result of, if you, it shows that, um, you can do it. You can hit the ball hard and you can be athletic enough to do it, but can you do it in the game?
yeah,
Can you be consistent in the game?
mm,
Can those numbers play in a game? Can you
yeah.
put up those same numbers in a game? I think that's the biggest thing.
How when we're gonna probably wrap this up in a little bit, but with the kids that come in and hit with you, whether from the youngest to the oldest, when they feel what I should have asked this even in the very beginning, but like I said,
Mm,
we're going and
yeah.
um when you hit with these kids and they have that aha moment, how, as a coach, as a teacher, as a mentor, how much does their confidence go through the roof now when they step in the box because they know they have more time, they're quicker, and they know how to get their body behind their swing. Like,
it
how rewarding is that to see their confidence just go through the roof, like when they step in the box?
it's it's one of the greatest things ever, as a coach. Um, I started this business because, and I tell everybody this, but I started this business because I want to give out what I was never given,
Hmm.
and I want to try to get every player to to reach their highest potential. And when, especially younger guys and girls, I mean, the joy they have, because I love this game more than anyone, but the joy they have, understand what they can possibly do, and to see them, you know, so happy and so joyful knowing that they can just, they can put barrel to ball and they can do it consistently. That's really why I do what I do, so, um, it, to, to have those players really have that aha moment, and to get them to now, like, hey, you have it, you got what it takes. Now let's just try to apply it. Let's try to get consistent with it. And that's it. I mean, that's, some guys come in here, they crush every single one and they feel so good. And all it is like, hey, let's go. Let's fine tune it. Let's keep getting better at it. Because sometimes there's nothing else I can do. I mean, they're hitting every ball in the barrel. I mean,
Hmm.
um, so now all it is just applying and producing, producing those results, in-game results. Um, but to get them to understand that what they can possibly do is, there's no better feeling.
Yeah. Uh, you're the man, Jay. I
Yeah, of
appreciate you coming
course.
on and just giving us a fresh perspective, um,
Yeah.
of hitting and just like the journey of the swing and you know everything we talked about. I think is pretty refreshing. I don't think there's a lot of content out there that talks about that. It's more just like negativity, bashing other people versus like
Yeah.
getting to the root cause of like what are
Yeah.
you doing to help like, players develop and be the best and like how is that all oriented around that? And I think
Yeah.
it's
I mean,
pretty
everybody is entitled to their opinion, right?
yeah,
So, but, bottom line, I'm in it, you're in it for the players.
yeah,
It's their career. I'll be honest, I don't reach out to find players. Every single one of my players, they search out, they message me, they want questions. And I mean, it is 12 a.m. over here, right? And I was in the cage. I've been in the cage since 8 a.m. If players want help, if I'm awake, I am going to be helping players. There's, so, it brings me it just brings me, too much joy for me to just not help players. So like, I want to try to help as many players as I can. If anybody's is really searching for help, um, whatever level they play at, I am, that's why I'm here. So,
That's a good
and I'm
result.
happy,
That's a
and
good result to
listen,
do.
yeah, man.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I'm happy to do this for you. I mean, I've known you for a couple of years now, and I'm more, like I said, it's not about the business. It's really about the player. And then obviously you're working on this thing and it's not only just about baseball too. I've had very long relationships with players.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a relationship with a player. He's 30. He's like 32 now, 33 now. I've known him since 9 years old. So
Wow.
it's like,
Yeah.
so it's long lasting. It's not only for the business, like I said, but
Mm-hmm.
I want to help as many players as possible and build those relationships. Players need mentors.
Yep.
They need coaches. They need mentors to look up to, and to always go to.
Yep.
So I think,
That's
you
what the
being a
game needs more
coach,
of.
player, what's up?
So that's what this game needs more of.
That's it, man.
Well,
And, I'm here to help as much as I can. So
appreciate
I'm
it.
happy to do this. I'm happy to help out as much as I can.
Yeah.
So
Jay, where do young hitters, where do all hitters find you at? Your Instagram, your Twitter, give us a
yeah,
handle.
so
Where they
it's,
find you?
at GridNJ. You can find me at TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, uh, gridnj.com. My website, Facebook is Game Ready Instruction and Training.
Mm-hmm.
So you can find me all on there. I do swing reviews, so I've been getting a bunch of those. I do have an online course. You can sign up for that. You have me 24/7, and obviously any camp, clinic. I've traveled the country, and obviously in person in Jersey over here. But I've been getting
Any
a lot of
clinics and
inquiries
stuff
with
coming up?
nothing's coming up right now. Um, I'm having a baby in the next month or so, that's on hold. But definitely in the summer I'll be traveling, and obviously next November I'll be hitting the West Coast again. So Cali, Colorado, Idaho, Utah, I'll be there again. So
Um,
and obviously making some pit stops. So definitely Florida as well, Texas. So um, I'll be hitting those states as well next year. So.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah.
so
No, I found out where I'm gonna go play. I won't announce it, but I just kind of I'll keep it, between you and I. But
okay.
I'm definitely gonna link up with you. I need to link up with you.
Let's
For
go,
a
man. Let's
good amount of
go.
sessions. So,
Let's rake.
Jay, you're the man. Hey, audience, any hitters that are out there that see this, highly recommend you give Jay a follow. Highly recommend you send him your swing and have him review it. I guarantee it. Like you will get better. And I mean, I did it. I took a chance, and it's been one of the best decisions I've ever made in my baseball career. And I've learned so much. Still learning.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, still tweaking. Man, it's still a work in progress. We're getting there, but the results throughout this offseason have been incredible. And I finally got a good review from you on my swing.
Let's
Comes out, you're
go.
like, hey, it looks great. I'm like, let's go. Cause every other time I send, you're like, hey, like, pivot a little more, down the back
Yeah,
more. I'm like, God dang it.
yeah,
All
yeah.
right, keep tweaking. But yeah,
Striving for perfection, bro.
yeah, no, that's what it is. And you realize that as you keep working on day to day, you're like, okay, now I'm getting it. I'm still sticking with it. I'm getting it. But anyway, any hitters that are out there, man, really, really take ownership of your swing and give Jay a follow and give Jay, the opportunity to assess your swing. You can follow me at, Daniel Martinez Molinari _ on Instagram and at JustRake _ for more content and everything. But Jay, you're the man. I appreciate you taking the time. I know you've been
Thanks
with
for
me since
having
8
me.
a.m. Fuck, man,
Yeah.
it's 12 a.m. over there. I appreciate it.
All right.
But
Thank you. I appreciate you.
no problem, man. I'll be in contact with you, and
Yeah,
I appreciate you giving us some wisdom and
absolutely.
honest background. So
Anytime.
right on, Jay.
All right, man. I'll
Right
see
on.
you.
Take it easy.
All right.